Hello there. Today we are going to scream into the void. So we need a bit of an introduction before we start. Say hello to YouTube. So this is Ventscape. A lot of people are saying hello. The website is still alive. You can post a message and it will disappear after something like 6 seconds. So the catch line was scream into the void. You could vent your heart out by just typing whatever you want. And I really like this website. It made a bit of a buzz 2 years ago, I guess, and today with Datastar we are going to recreate it. But doing this site is very easy with Datastar, so we are going to show you 2 ways of doing it. If we take a look at the way the website works, on the network aspect we have a WebSocket connection that you can see here. Messages are sent in JSON format with the color of the message, the created date, the text of the message, the user ID. For the front end it's mostly React stuff, and we can see that the disappearing effect is done by changing the opacity of messages. So we are going to try to do something simple, stay in the same style, but without WebSockets and without React. This is our version. I have an input element at the bottom. When I click enter, the message is displayed and slowly fades out. The positions are randomized. I cannot put a lot of messages. And if I open 2 windows, they are perfectly in sync, as you would expect. So far so good for a recreation of Ventscape. Let's see in the code how to do it. For the import, outside of the standard Quart and SDK, we are just going to use Redis as our pub/sub broker or database. We initialize the app. Before we serve the app, we initialize a Redis client. We will make sure to close it after the app is done. Before any request, we want to get the user ID if we want to have the same users to always have the same color. Ventscape does this, so you can identify a stream of messages from the same person, but I won't do it because I want to show a lot of colors in my demo. But it will be very easy, barely an inconvenience, and then we serve the HTML template. The HTML template is very standard. We only need Datastar script to be loaded. And then we are going to use a data onload to open a connection, just like this, to the void root, which we will keep open and use it to stream messages. And after this, a form element with a data on submit and a post request to message. very standard way, what is going on in this void root. In this void root, we are going to stream SSE, so we need an event generator, and then we will use this to make a Datastar response. The event generator, while true, will try to get every message stored in Redis and add it to an HTML and display it. But won't the messages pile up? You will say no, because the trick here is to use an expiration time here of 10 seconds on the messages. Let me show you how it works. So if a user sends a post request to message, if there is no message, we just return a 200 response. Then we give the message a random color and a random position. And then we store it in the Redis client. And because every message has an expiration date, we just need to constitute the HTML by waiting for every key and time to live, and the opacity is time to live divided by the maximum time of a message. So if messages live for 10 seconds and the time to live left is 5 seconds, the opacity will be 50%. So we use an ID of messages here to replace this element with idiomorph, and this element will be populated by message and message and message with an opacity and position that was determined by the server. Let's take a look at this in real time. We have our div with ID message. Using the form to input it, we'll add a message to this, and you can see that the opacities of messages are updated in real time by the server, given how many time left for the message. Afterwards, the messages disappear from the HTML because they are no longer retrieved, because they are expired on the Redis database, and so you can see that this works pretty well. Let's see another way of doing this. We are just going to change the roots, void and message. We are going to use void2 and message2. To do this, I just have to change two roots in my HTML. Void2 to initiate the connection, message2 to be another message. Because we still render this template, I don't even have to reload the app to make it work. And this time we are going to treat it as more like a chat app. So when I post a message, you see that it gets added, it fades out, but you see the difference. The opacity is no longer updated from the server, and the messages stay in the DOM. So you might have guessed how this is going to work. Let me show you. When somebody sends a message on the message2 route, we are just going to publish it to a Redis pub sub channel. I just need one channel. This is why the channel is called main. I just dump all the information I want on this channel. On the other hand, in my open connection, I just need to subscribe to the channel, wait for messages, and if I have a message, load it and return the new message. Because we are updating the DOM message by message, and this is the last thing which is really important to know, we are going to change the merge mode. We are no longer going to use idiomorph and morph the whole main or messages div based on ID. We are going to search for the div with ID messages and prepend messages to it. If I send new, prepend means Datastar went and searched for the div with ID messages, so the selector which I provided, and appended a message to it. New wave. This other approach is really cool because the opacity effect is done only with CSS. The whole CSS for the page is really simple, just a few lines. You see that we divide the main component into 90% for the messages, 10% for the input. Every message is absolutely positioned, because we are going to send the X and Y position of each message as inline style from the server. You saw that before, and in the second case, for the opacity reduction, the disappearing effect, we are going to use a fade out CSS animation over 10 seconds, and don't forget to add forwards so that when the animation of disappearing message is done, the opacity stays at 0. From what I saw in my test, on the first approach, if you are messing with CSS animations too much, they won't hold up very much. This is why in the first approach we use a transition so that opacity is linear in its progression when we send opacity updates from the server. And in the second one, because we use the prepend merge mode, we can use CSS animation without too much conflict. This is most likely a problem with CSS and not with Datastar, and even more probably with the understanding I have over this and the way I code. But both approaches work really well to recreate the feel of screaming into the void. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I am going to give you some homework. The first one, of course, is going to be go to ventscape.live and say hello from Datastar, because I didn't expect this website to be alive at all, but it is. Please try to tell them to stop using WebSockets and React for this, because a dozen lines of Datastar is perfectly able to do the trick. And for a limited time only, I am going to put this demo on my website, cosmochess.com, and you can go and try to guess which approach is used on cosmochess.com, the first one or the second one. If you have an idea, please say it in the comments. You can drop a message, although I doubt it will have as many users as Ventscape over the long time, and this, I only have one website, so I might use it for other stuff. But it was a cool demo to make. Use Datastar, Scream and Vent, like and subscribe. See ya!